Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Today, we will listen to Emma's story about her son's roommate. Without wasting any time, let's get into the story. Greetings. My name is Emma. I am married and have a child. His name is Johan, and I love him dearly. I am one of the most beautiful women in my neighborhood, and despite my age, I still look very young. I am aware of my own beauty and want to stay this way forever. I know one day it will fade, but for now, I still look young. Having a husband like mine makes me feel like my life has been wasted. My husband is 20 years older than me, and to be honest, I do not love him. Since he is much older than me, I have already betrayed him, and with my son's roommate, no less. Now, let me tell you how it happened. I came across this channel while browsing YouTube, and it immediately caught my attention. It was very interesting to listen to people's stories. As I watched them, I thought a lot and decided that I wanted to share my own story as well. I have not told many people about it, and this is my first time opening up. I will write down everything I have been through, and I hope you will listen. I grew up in New York in a family that was neither poor nor rich. We could afford our necessities, but we did not have enough money to travel or go on vacations. As a child, I do not remember going anywhere for holidays. I had two older brothers, and I was the youngest in the family. I was not very successful in school, and I did not want to study. It just was not for me. After finishing school, I was often bored at home, and many men came to ask for my hand in marriage. My brothers were unemployed and just wandered the streets aimlessly. I was sick of this situation. One day, my father told me that on Monday, a man who was 20 years older than me would come to ask for my hand. I did not want him, and I told my mother and father that I did not love him. Back then, there were no photos, so I had not even seen the man. But I knew I would not love him because he was so much older. My mother told me, "Love does not put food on the table, my dear." My husband promised my father and brothers that he would find them jobs and kept sending us money and gifts every day. After thinking long and hard, I realized my mother was right. Money would make me happy. I thought that, over time, I would come to love the man and get used to the situation. But it did not happen. Even though he was the father of my child, I never loved him. He was actually a good person who valued me, but as he aged, I felt like he no longer suited me. Imagine being 20 years old and a 40-year-old man coming to marry you. When I finally saw his face, I did not love him at all. But I had accepted my fate and we got married. I think I got pregnant on our wedding night, as I soon found out I was carrying Johan. After my son was born, I started warming up to my husband, and as the years passed, I got used to him. I did not love him, but they say getting used to someone is worse than loving them. My husband, my son, and I lived a happy life. We had money, so we traveled a lot. My dear son Johan started university last year. At first, he lived at home, but over time, he wanted to move into his own place. His father initially objected, but I talked to him and he eventually agreed. Johan moved in with his friend Chris. Sometimes I invited them over for dinner. Chris was tall, dark-haired, handsome, and well-mannered. After a while, Johan told me that Chris was having family problems and could not afford rent. I told him not to tell his father and that we would help Chris out. I thought helping him would be a good deed in God's eyes. Twice a week, I went to Johan's house to clean and cook. Every time I went, Chris was home and would shower me with compliments. He told me how beautiful I was, how I had great genetics, and how I was a good and inspiring young mother. He complimented me on my beauty a lot, and I cannot say I did not like it. I started feeling possessive of Chris. It was not love, but since he complimented me so much, I liked it, and I got jealous. One day when I went to the house, I entered and expected Chris to be out. But when I went to the bedroom, I saw him talking to a girl. They were not doing anything inappropriate, but when they saw me, they got scared. I said, "I am sorry, I should not be here," and left. On the way home, I realized I was jealous. I wondered why he was with that girl. It was ridiculous. I was married and old enough to be his mother. I prayed to God to show me the right path and feared doing something wrong. For 3 days, I avoided Chris and did not go to their house. I kept thinking about my son, Johan, and how my thoughts were wrong. Eventually, Johan messaged me saying, "Mom, the house is a mess. Can you clean it?" I did not want to, but I could not say no to my son. I went to their house and Chris was there. I did not look at him and started cleaning. Johan told me he wanted to have dinner together that evening, so I stayed. While cooking in the kitchen, Chris came in and apologized for being with that girl. I told him, "What are you talking about? It's your life, I don't care." But then he hugged me and kept apologizing. I pushed him away and said, "Stop this nonsense. I am married and have a child. Don't tell me you have feelings for me." He then said, "I have loved you since the moment I saw you. I desire you so much. I cannot imagine a life without you. I was with that girl because she reminded me of you." At that moment, I got carried away by emotions and asked, "Why were you with her then?" He said, "Even looking at her, I was thinking of you. She does not smell like you." I snapped, "How do I even smell, you idiot?" We talked like young lovers, and in that moment of emotion, we were together. That day, I forgot my husband. Whatever little love I had for him disappeared. From that day on, I visited their house whenever I had the chance, and I could not spend a second without seeing Chris. I think I have fallen deeply in love. Now I am 38 years old, and I cannot believe I am experiencing these things. I was never in love with my husband, and now, at this age, I am living this? I feel ashamed to look my son in the eye, but Chris and I are together. This year, he will graduate from university. He tells me he wants a child with me and wants me to divorce my husband and marry him. But I cannot do it. If I leave my husband, my life will be ruined. Would my son even look at me if I did this? I do not know. I have never told anyone about this before. This is my first time sharing it. Thank you for listening to my story. I need your advice. Should I choose my husband or Chris? I am lost. Yes, friends, we have come to the end of another story. I hope Emma finds the right path and makes the best decision. Subscribe to my channel.